Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio. We want to remind everybody, Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox. For all of your artwork, cosplay, and photography needs, be sure to check out Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, welcome everybody to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. We finally have the full crew back together again, the three amigos. Of course, returning from landscaping work and moving people all weekend, we have Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
And back from her wonderful vacation, we have Angela Rose.
Hello. And we already have a lovely chat going. Hi, Sharka. Hi, Mario.
Our guest of honor, Sean Chiplock, will be joining us tonight about 9 o'clock Eastern. He is currently at a convention and had some panel changes and things going on, so he's going to be a little bit later joining us, but Sean will be here. So we are excited to talk with him. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk with Natsuki, with Subaru Natsuki from ReZero, Diluc, and Genshin Impact. We'll find out what it's like to die 45,000 times in the first episode of a show, and we'll even be talking about candles, which I want to show off. This is a candle that Sean's wife makes. We did when we met him at Retro Game Con in Syracuse. I did buy a candle from him, and it actually smells really nice. It's like a coffee scent. Hoping that the caffeine from the odor will keep me awake all night.
And we have a hello, John, and his question is, how are you doing during the pandemic?
We are doing pretty good, I believe. I know we've all been out and about quite a bit.
I will say that was another kind of big difference being overseas. With the lack of restrictions.
And for those of you who don't know, Angela was gone the last couple of weeks for a vacation out to Europe, England and France.
That was originally supposed to happen in February of 2021. Multiple postponements later, we got to celebrate my husband's birthday while we were gone.
And so we had a little bit of fun while she was gone. Of course, those of you who remember, for our Halloween special, we had Christy Rothrock, and I had to have Christy bust out the Alulu voice due to the fact that I was cosplaying as Kobayashi. I didn't turn the camera on until she brought the voice out live on stream. So that was a lot of fun. And she was surprised. She loved the costume. It was a good time. Last weekend we had Anime on, a small convention up in South Portland, Maine, where we are going to have a table. I don't think that I can officially say we are guests at the con. We are more of attendees where we're going to be promoting the show, and you can find us there this next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and half the day Sunday. We're going to be leaving early on Sunday because we have another awesome show lined up next week as well. And like I said, later on in about an hour or so, we're going to be joined by Sean Chiplock, who's at a convention right this weekend. And it'll be fun to chat with him, see how he's doing, and get to learn more about him and his career. And talk, like I said, talk candles, because the candles were great. And the selling point was the most ridiculous thing that made me buy this candle in particular. And we'll talk more about that when he's on the show. But I guess the burning question that we have for Angela to start off tonight, we hounded you for weeks leading up to it about Call of the Night, and you said you would download it and watch it.
Yeah, and technical difficulties ensued. Therefore, for what it is worth, Um, my none of my devices would actually cooperate to the app, to the High Dive app. Could not get it to play at all. I tried multiple times.
And
Failed.
why did I not get a message?
But basically it failed, and then we actually did not watch. We watched exactly 2 episodes of anime the entire time we were overseas.
And let me guess, they were both Spy Family.
No, we are behind on Spy Family. They were both My Hero Academia. It is the one anime I am caught up on, I think.
I am so disappointed in you.
Spy Family is a extended household show. Therefore, none of us watched it.
I can respect that. It's a group watch and being respectful to the rest of the group, not jumping ahead.
Exactly. Hence,
Point
I'm behind on hence I'm the only show I'm caught up on is My Hero for that reason, because everything else is a group watch, and subsequently I am behind.
Point taken.
And I will say, when we did our fall preview or winter preview,
I'm not the only one that's behind on Spy Family. Mario is also 3 episodes behind.
I'm behind like one or two.
I'm behind at least. I'm behind, I think, 2, maybe 3.
we are caught up with the English dub. This was one of the shows. There are 2 shows that we were watching in English for season 1 that we wanted to continue watching in English for season 2. And I can honestly say, with how much I love Spy Family, Megan Shipman does an amazing job as the voice of Anya. Absolutely, in my opinion, might be her best role ever.
And John actually he's got it. Did you know that it's been 2 years since voice actors of Funimation can record anime from their homes? We've talked to a few voice actors about this. That the responses have all been slightly different and very interesting to see how it's done.
And John also says that he needs to watch Spy Family. It is an amazing show. We all have different tastes here on Anime-Zing Radio, and this is one of the few shows we can all agree is freaking awesome.
And if that doesn't sell you on it, that's a shame.
And he also says he is watching My Hero Academia Season 6 English dub.
We're watching it subbed, but that's because when we started it subbed, and I'm getting to a point where if I start with subtitles, it has to all be subtitles.
And I gave up on My Hero somewhere in season 4.
Fine.
Which is fair. I maintain that, Doug, I think you'd actually enjoy the villain's arc, but it was like half a season.
Can I just say that a person came through the drive-thru the other day with a My Hero shirt, and every time I see someone in any kind of My Hero merchandise at the store, I always tell them, "Hey, watch better anime." And he goes, come on. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, the only good thing about My Hero is the villains. He pondered for a moment. He's like, yeah, you're right.
The villain arc was extremely well done. Like I like my own opinions on the show as a whole aside, the villain arc was so well done. I feel like for those who enjoyed the beginning but kind of gave up on it for their own reasons, the villain arc is the one to go back to, and nothing else.
And I also want to take a moment to wish a happy birthday to a couple of people out there whose birthday is today. Ben Ackley, who was a past guest on the show, his birthday is today. Also, 5 years ago today, my daughter was born.
Happy birthday, Evie.
Happy birthday.
So we celebrated her birthday yesterday with friends and family, and she had a lot of fun. She did, of course, get a couple of Eevee items because we're weebs. Including on her cake, we put a pop figure Eevee. I know it'll piss off people that we opened up a pop figure Eevee and put it on her cake, but she plays with it with a Jolteon as well, and absolutely adores him. Hello, HH.
Yeah, that's so. It was also interesting. I did take some. I've been taking I took pictures from some of the anime and manga shops of the and like the clothing stores where there were anime collabs. But it looks like different. It looks like while some of the popular stuff is popular worldwide, some of the stuff that's popular over there isn't necessarily as popular here.
And that's one of the interesting things. That's when it's fun to have the international guests on, like when we have Mario on talking about, what's popular in England as opposed to here in the US and some of the other international guests that we've had on in the past. It's fun to know, okay, well, what do they have? Are shows that are popular in the US as popular in England, France, other parts of the world?
Yeah. And
getting distracted by the chat.
Yep. Shark has been watching Chainsaw Man, Blue Lock, and some others. Chainsaw Man, fantastic. That's another one I'm behind on because we're doing that one as a group.
Need to start.
Chainsaw Man is awesome. Doug, if you haven't watched it, I'm not sure you'd enjoy it. Given your taste.
Casey has been watching it, and she said, "I don't think it's up your alley."
I will actually agree with that.
But she has done some art from it, so
the
little dog chainsaw thing.
I'm really enjoying it, but I suppose we kind of go back and forth on that.
Well, usually if I think something is crap, you like it, and vice versa.
Yep. Blue Lock is one I've not been watching, but enough people I know are.
I have been most of the shows that I have written down to potentially watch. I actually have started. The only one, Immoral Guild, I have not been able to find. It's not on any of the streaming sites that I subscribe to, but I started Pop Team Epic and it dubbed, and I'm like, I don't know why I enjoyed this so much season 1, but I kind of couldn't get through the first episode. Love Flops has been interesting. Spy Family, of course, is amazing. Beast Tamer has been really good from the standpoint that it's a fantasy, not isekai anime. It has a similar feel to Banished from the Hero's Party at the start.
That's another one I need to go back and finish. Because I actually did enjoy that one, the episode of that one.
Of course, Uzaki, in the process of catching up on that in English dub, reincarnated as a sword has actually been surprisingly cute. And I don't think it's because of the main character who is reincarnated as a sword. I think it's the young girl who ends up wielding him that makes the show that much more enjoyable.
Have you started Eminence in Shadow?
I have not.
No.
Okay, just asking because I feel that's one you'd actually enjoy, Doug.
I'm also watching the stronger from farming, and somehow all my skills have increased or something like that. And I also have started watching Bocchi the Rock.
I've
Nope.
heard so much about Bocchi the Rock that I may just end up starting it. It's gonna be watch Giga make a video about this. I'm calling it now.
My watch list. My hero. We already touched on Chainsaw Man. Digimon Ghost Game, which is an ongoing. Gundam Witch from Mercury. That one is another one we got behind on, but that one is, if you like Gundam, it's good. We're doing Ruby Ice Queendom dubbed, and then Spy Family, and then everything else I either didn't get to start or I'm way too behind or I forgot to put it on my list.
I
And
got
John says watch Banished from the Heroes Party dub, which that was really good. Even Angela, as you heard her say, she enjoyed the first episode. I think it also helps the fact that the main male character, voiced by Aaron Campbell, Aaron has been a guest on the show a couple of times, and she got to meet Aaron, so I think that might help a little bit there.
Yeah, because you showed me 2 different shows
He was in.
before we met Aaron, and one of them was just no.
She didn't like Senko.
It was not my jam at all.
But give her a game that has a D&D feel to it, and she's all about
There's
Um,
that.
it.
I can't
and
even argue with that anymore.
and a recommendation for you potentially, kind of an out there one. Akiba Maid Wars.
What?
Akiba
Akiba
Maid War.
Maid Wars.
Akiba Maid Wars?
Yep.
Yeah. I from what I have seen and what I have heard people talk about it, they will never look at maids the same. And
You
it's
won't.
not what you think of when you think of maids and maid cafes.
Nope. It's not. Considering you were in France, did you actually go to any French maid cafes?
No.
But
And John says we're talking about Banished from the Heroes Party. It's getting a season 2. Also, Kuma 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 Bears season 2 got pushed back to April. And they released a visual for that, which I'm excited about. Can't wait for that to come out. I think, isn't April, aren't they also releasing Bofuri season 2 in April?
no, that's January.
That's
Yep.
January?
It was originally supposed to be
It's
this
supposed to be this season.
it was supposed to be this season and it got delayed.
That's right, January 2023 for Bofuri. Apparently, Misfit of Demon King Academy season 2 is also coming out in January, and Miss Nagatoro second season.
Hype.
So that right up there is a couple that Darren will be all over.
Have any of us watched Black Clover?
I watched to episode 130 something.
When I was in 2018, when I was in Tokyo, that was the anime that was advertised everywhere. And then I was like, okay, we need to watch that when we get home. And yeah, that didn't happen. So now it's one of those, there's too much. So I started reading the manga instead.
Let me just say that everybody was hyped for it, then everyone was immediately turned off, both in English and original voice acting, because of the voice actor playing Asta. It took about 5 to 10 episodes to get used to all the screaming. Just saying. Other than that, brilliantly done. At the time, it was airing alongside My Hero, and I was telling people, look, you got two shonen. One is good, one is not so good. Go watch Black Clover.
Um,
I just took a quick look at the spring 2023 animes that they have up there, and of the first 4 for my anime list, I will be watching 3 of them, and they're all season 2s.
Yeah. Oh, about to say I'll be
wait,
watching.
winter or spring?
Spring. So coming out in April, you have The Ancient Magus' Bride Season 2, which I will definitely be watching, Kuma Bear Season 2, and In Another World with My Smartphone Season 2.
Unless I finish Kuma Bear by then, I will be watching the other one you didn't mention.
Dr. Stone?
Yep.
Yeah, looking at jumping ahead out of the first 6, nothing for me. It looks like the first one for the spring that I'm gonna be up with is Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury, part 2.
I thought you were going to say Birdie Wing.
No,
Why not cute girls playing golf?
golf doesn't interest me.
I play golf. It's more entertaining to play than it is to watch.
Yes.
I grew up watching golf with my dad. I never really got into it. I have tried to play it.
And John in the chat says, have any of you watched Attack on Titan?
Yes.
I watched 1 episode and knew it was not for me.
I will say the final season,
which still continues,
which still isn't done, is I feel like if they had just ended it like with a couple episodes past the ending of season 3, it would have been fine. Attack on Titan, I feel like, has jumped the shark.
It's turned into a fate.
It's gotten to a point where it just needs to end. It
needs to die.
It needs to finish. I want there to be a good ending. Yes, Mario. Yes, we do. We could probably do an entire show just about that, where you and I discuss.
And then we just sit on the sidelines and go, nope, haven't seen that. Nope, haven't seen that. Nope, haven't seen that.
We'll just, Darren, you and I can be the cheering section that just sits there and goes, overrated. Overrated.
But no, I have the final. At this point, I recognize that I am watching. That I am finishing Attack on Titan for the sake of finishing it, because at this point
you're invested.
Exactly.
It's like One Piece fans. They got to see it through to the end, even if there's 5 million episodes. And although, hats off to, One Piece for getting the movie out this past weekend. And I know that a lot of people went to watch it. I heard a lot of good reviews on the movie. So hats off to those who worked on it, those who enjoy it. I myself have never taken the time to watch One Piece because it's, again, one of those shows that there's too many episodes for me to jump in now and have the time to actually watch.
But it's called One Piece, so you should be able to watch it in one piece, right?
No, they just give you one piece of the story at a time. That's why there's 4 million episodes.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Yep. I will say there were movie posters for One Piece Red in Paris.
From what I understand, it's still a better love story than Twilight.
Speaking of which,
See, you just set the bar about an inch off the floor there, Doug. There's a lot I could say about Twilight. Out of respect, I will not.
What would you rather have to sit down and watch, Twilight or Conception?
I considering if I remember correctly, I watched a full episode of Conception. Got pissed off and swore I wasn't good and said a lot of things about that. Regarding Twilight, I got about 10 pages in the book, threatened to burn it, except it wasn't mine, and threw it across the room. And refused to watch the movie because of how poorly the book was written.
And just so you know, Angela, we did not bring up Conception the entire time you were gone.
Of course not.
We had to wait for you to come back to throw it out there.
And HH says, no, it's one piece of your mind running away at a time.
Is that why you act a bit Luffy?
And Mario's agreeing with us regarding Twilight.
I never watched Twilight. The books that I read, predominantly in early childhood, elementary years, were Harry Potter series, and then followed by the Charlie Bones series, and then middle school, high school. Does anyone remember a series called Inkheart?
No.
Okay, basically, very well done. It was a trilogy: Inkheart, Ink Spell, Ink Death. Basically, girl and her father were lovers of books. The girl was told to never read books out loud to anybody because her and her father basically had the ability to bring into the real world whatever they read. Thank you, Sharka. Oh, wow. I have people that actually remembered that.
Yep.
They did do a movie about it, just so you know.
Nice. No, I've read a lot. And my degree is English literature.
Well, don't worry. I had a chemistry teacher that her degree was in English, but yet she was teaching chemistry. It was no wonder she was one of the worst chemistry teachers that taught it.
I read a book once.
Was it a manga, a light novel, or an actual book?
Actually, I've read a few books.
Oh God!
One of them is by our friend Terry Doty, who many of you know is the voice actor. And then there was another author, Aaron Kaiser Horn, that I only have 2 of the 3 books from this trilogy because I lent one out years ago and never got it back. It was Eyes of Lightning, Wings of Thunder, Storm of Soul trilogy about the Thunderbird legacy.
Is that the writer we met at New England Comic-Con?
No, I have not met Erin in person yet, but I have interviewed her multiple times on 3 different shows.
Well, so I suppose one of the things we did in London was we went to the oldest bookstore oldest retail bookshop. And this is what I got for myself.
Was that the same one that, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they do an episode of Pawn Stars in that bookshop?
I have no idea. This is Pawn Stars. I don't watch whole episodes. We watch the YouTube compilations that they put out.
And it surprises nobody here that you bought a book while on vacation.
That was one of 3.
That little? I would have thought you would have bought like a whole library.
No, I had a weight limit on my suitcase.
Plus, you have a limit of space, shelf space too.
That too. I live in Boston.
Hence why I have anime figures no longer up on shelves behind me and stuff because they're all full. I have them now on the bookshelf beside me.
I need to get a glass case if I'm gonna be collecting figures. That or a bigger bed.
My glass case is full.
Let's see.
And I have a new figure that I'm going to be looking for.
Is it from a show we know?
Yes, it's Canon from Love Live Superstar. For personal reasons, I want to get at least one figure of that character.
Unrelated to anything, Doug, given that we follow some of the same YouTubers, did you see the most recent Crane Game video that Connor put out?
With Sydney?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Sydney won that. Sorry, Connor, but I kind of give the nod to Sydney, especially considering the fact that she had no clue what she was doing, and she got some better stuff than he got.
And Sharka joins you guys in collecting figures.
Oh, I have more Dakimakura than I have figures. I just wish that I had more official Dakimakura. I have one that was supposed to be sent to me 5 years ago, but was not going to pester the guy because he was going through a divorce at the time, and never got it.
And John's asking, have any of us watched Tokyo Ghoul?
No.
I have not.
It was on the list many years ago.
Ditto.
Read the synopsis on it, and it didn't seem like anything that jumped out at me at the time, so I bypassed it. And especially now with the seasons, anime coming out with between 40 and 50 new shows every season, it's tough to keep up with that. And then there are times if I have an extended period of time to myself where I can binge a series or something, I'll go back and watch. I have some guilty pleasure animes I go back and rewatch from time to time.
Yep, Conception is definitely one of them.
No, I have only watched that once, and
God, no,
probably never again.
Just no.
I already told you what my guilty pleasure anime is, and it's In Another World with my smartphone, which I know makes people cringe, but I just really enjoy that one for the sheer stupidity of it.
I would have
to
see. I have my guilty pleasure, stupid content. Anime is my taste in anime really is all over the place. I just don't like the isekai stuff.
Minus Overlord.
Overlord doesn't feel like an isekai.
Well, that's a sign of a really good isekai, is when you can forget that it's actually an isekai and that it has a good story.
It feels more like Sword Art Online than it does an isekai.
On that note, here's one. I can't remember if you watched this one. I think Doug did. Doug, did you ever finish Dawn the Spider?
No, I watched like 1 or 2 episodes.
Did you ever watch that one, Angela?
No.
Casey watched it and loved it.
It didn't really feel like an isekai. They kept going back and forth in the story so much between the main characters. It really didn't feel like an isekai.
And Mario is saying Overlord is more fantasy, and that I will agree with.
Yes. I can agree.
I can agree with that one as well. And is it bad that some of the isekais I've watched, I only watched because of Isekai Quartet, so I could better understand the jokes in that?
You never did start Shield Hero, did you?
No. They have such a small part in season 2 of Isekai Quartet. I was like, I don't think we need to go and watch that. I mean, Raftalia is cute and all, but I just it didn't jump out at me at all. I mean, if I wanted to see shows with cute characters, I'll watch like Kuma Bear or Bofuri or something like that. The Shield Hero just did not jump out at me at all.
Let's see. What else? What else was I watching this season?
John's asking, have any of us watched the Fairy Tale dub?
Up to episode 130.
About there for me.
It was like right as let's see, which guild had reemerged, which Dark Guild was it? The Irration Safe.
Well, welcome, Ross. So glad that you could join us. Just got an email from our guest saying that he will be home shortly. As soon as he gets home, he will be hopping on with us. So if you're worried that you missed Sean, you have not. Sean is going to be joining us around the 9 o'clock Eastern hour. He was at a convention today. They asked him to stay late due to some scheduling conflicts. He asked if it would be all right to push the time back, which we try to be very flexible here with the guests, and excited that we will still have Sean joining us. It'll be a lot of fun to talk with him about his career and get to learn more about Sean himself as a voice actor and as a person. Of course, a lot of the roles that he has done, including Subaru from ReZero, who appeared in Isekai Quartet. That was the only show pre-Isekai Quartet that I'd actually watched.
I was going to chime in honor of us changing the clocks back. We changed his schedule back. Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha ha.
And I was just going to chime in with, nobody missed anything. They just missed us running our mouths and rambling about nonsense.
The usual.
Yeah, what else is new?
Exactly.
Yeah, what we normally fall back on.
Yeah. And I'm still awake.
As it says there, Darren is not dead yet. And of course, next weekend, I will be very busy. If you want to see what's going on at Anime, we will be live streaming from the table throughout the day, periodically throughout the day on Friday. Some of the day Saturday, I do have a panel at 1 o'clock. So if you're able to come up to Anime in South Portland, Maine, come by and say hi. We would love to see you there. And we're gonna have some fun stuff. We'll bring our prize pack, courtesy of Home Circle Media. We'll also, we'll have some fun stuff going on at the table, and we like doing little giveaways and things. So,
yep.
Ross also says, "Welcome back from vacation, Angela."
Oh yeah, travel was wonderful. I'm a little on the exhausted side because I've, due to daylight savings time and an 7-hour flight and crossing I don't know how many time zones. I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning.
So welcome to the club.
Yep.
And she still had an easier time flying than Aaron Campbell to Puchacon.
Well, my friend got waylaid in Dallas the other week for I think it was Blackpink had a concert in Dallas the other week. He got trapped in Dallas for well over a day because they kept doing something to his flight.
Oh God. And K-pop has taken over the world.
K-pop, and I saw a news story go across my Facebook feed about a bride who had all of her whole hotel room block was kicked back because of a Taylor Swift concert.
If anybody, yeah, I got one of the emails I got while I was waiting to board the plane in Paris was from Capital. I got a pre-sale code to buy tickets for Taylor Swift if I cared.
Which you didn't.
Which I didn't, because Because A, one concert at Gillette Stadium was enough for the time being. And two, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan.
I don't like Taylor Swift the person, but I do like some of her music.
The music is just kind of. There's
It
one.
was better when she was still country, in my opinion.
I have one guilty pleasure song that I absolutely adore. But most of it is just too candy pop formulaic at this point.
I will say I would rather see a concert by the Japanese band Creepy Nuts than Taylor Swift, but that's just because of Call of the Night, and I love the music from that anime.
Oh.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, have you listened to her new album? I have not. I saw a lot of ads for it again while I was overseas. So
I haven't listened to Taylor Swift ever since she left country music.
And Casey played a couple of songs for me from the new album that she likes, which they weren't bad. Anti-Hero, her new song is good. I recommend it if you had anxiety and fear. I'm not sure which songs were played for me, but like I said, they weren't bad. I like a mixture of her stuff, but Anti-Hero was the song that was played for me. So yeah, I have heard that one, and like I said, it wasn't bad. I have other songs that if I was going to make a playlist would definitely be in front of it.
Nope. And I suppose while I was gone, one of the weekends I was gone, Bandmade played a show in Boston. AKA one of the Japanese metal bands that I like.
And I know if you weren't gone out of the country, you would have been at the concert.
Exactly.
The last time I went to a concert, who was it? Oh yeah, I think it was Charlie Daniels with Alabama.
Oh, that must have been a great concert.
It was.
I think the last one I did. Wait, I think the last one I did was Rammstein. It might have been It might have been One OK Rock.
The last concert that I went to with Casey, Angela was also there.
Wait a minute. Lindsay Sterling?
Yeah. Evanescence and Lindsay Sterling.
Now, I know there were several tours this year that I would have loved to go see, but I didn't. One of them earlier this year was 4 bands. It was Def Leppard, Joan Jett, Poison, and I think it was Motley Crue.
Ooh, that sounds like an amazing lineup.
No, I was wrong. That was not the last concert. Last concert we went to, Angela was still there, but it was Asuka at Anime Boston.
Good.
I forgot about that one.
Fair. Convention concerts are different, and I count them differently.
But still musical performance, and that was still one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Agreed.
There's just something about the crowd with the light sticks, and it was fun to have our friend, the VTuber Kaya Tano on, who is in the know about the light sticks and what goes and idol animes and the idol world in general and stuff. So getting to learn more about the art of the light stick at a Japanese concert. I had no idea there were guides that you
Yep.
can follow and all of that.
Oh, comments about Lindsey Sterling in the chat. HH never heard anyone citing them, and Ross is asking, Lindsey Sterling is a dancer and a violinist. She was on one of those competition shows. I forget which one.
Yeah. And then she
just started putting out stuff on YouTube.
she's
built
worked
up
with a few different
huge-
artists
built
to
up a
release the songs and
huge
stuff.
following, and then started going on tours. Because I've seen her 3 times now.
And she also does some geek music, including Zelda, Pokemon,
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy, and she will do acrobatics and gymnastics while playing the violin.
It's
breathtaking to watch.
It is.
And she even incorporates in ballet and a lot of movement while playing the violin, and a lot of concentration goes into that. So she is definitely a top-notch performer. If you have a chance to see her, I would say do it. It's quite an impressive thing to see.
Agreed. But no, this year I've done this year I did 5 concerts. Not a single one of them was an American artist.
I did 1 concert and it wasn't American. Almost 2. If the Masquerade hadn't run late at CCE, we would have gone to the concert there, which was also a Japanese artist.
Not counting Anime Boston. Yeah. Nope, my concert, it is literally all over yeah.
Darren, Ross has got some fighting words for you. He says, speaking of Pokemon that was mentioned, I'm skipping on the game this year. I just don't like the looks of it.
To be fair, I agree. Pokemon quit alluring me after Alola, in all honesty. A lot of this new stuff is like, seriously? Do I still follow the show and whatnot? Honestly, Alola ruined it for me. They had such a good thing going and they ruined it.
Or you're just getting older.
No, I still like Pokemon, don't get me wrong. I'm just that. Also, the fact I never got a Switch, and the last game I was able to play was literally Sun and Moon 2 before going to the Switch. That is where my experiences stop. Also, I have not had time. I barely have time to watch anime. How am I going to find time to play Pokemon?
Pokemon Go while you're out doing the landscaping.
I could. I really could.
Running the excavator and hitting the button.
Literally, I just need a thing to mount it onto my control bar. Yeah, I could see that actually.
Why does that not surprise me at all?
That was the upside of being in foreign countries and not driving, was the fact that I was actually able to wander around and collect Pokemon.
Oh, by the way, did you get any region exclusives, or did they stop with that a while back?
I did get a Klefki and a Mime Jr. that I didn't have already, that I believe were region exclusives.
Fairy typed.
But considering everything was a Halloween, there was a big Halloween event. So everything spawning was all ghost types.
Speaking of which, one of my friends that played competitively basically destroyed my entire team with a damn Klefki. Oh, that made me so mad.
I don't know. I got one in the wild somewhere, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? I don't have this."
It's a set of keys, literally.
Yep.
So basically, she got Lucy.
Yeah, basically.
A set of keys.
Yeah, and I don't remember how many keys are on Clef Key, but there's at least 7, I think.
I don't know. This is for you from Ross, Darren. They made Diglett apparently a sandworm.
I saw. Even though I don't play anymore, I am up to date with the new designs and the new characters.
Yeah, I don't know. I still haven't finished Arceus.
In Pokemon Go, at least, it's only 4 keys on a Clef Key.
I couldn't remember how many keys were on a Clef Key.
I couldn't tell you if this is the same.
The same sprite as they used in the games.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure it is, but like I said, I could be wrong. It's been a minute since I played the game, so. But damn, that thing gave me some problems. Because
I haven't turned Pokemon Go on in quite a while.
I think it's because it had Heat Shield. It either had Heat Shield or Levitate, one of the two. Because Heat Shield halves any fire damage, and then Levitate would disrupt any ground damage. And that was what drove my ass nuts. Because its defenses are so high, you couldn't knock the dang thing out. It was honestly worse than a dang. Let's see, what did I have to go up against? Oh yeah, Stuckle.
I don't know. I got nothing.
And then, speaking of which, has anyone seen the videos they did? I can't remember if it was it college, not College Humor. I forget. They did like a thing where they always were picking on Shuckle. Might have been College Humor. No, Dorkly. That's what it was.
I have not.
No.
Yeah, Ross was telling you Dorkly as well in the chat. But yeah, I hadn't turned the game on in quite a while for Pokemon Go, just because too busy with work. And this week coming up, I'm doing 4 doubles instead of 3 in preparation for traveling to Maine next weekend. Which again, it's going to be a lot of fun heading out to Maine. If you like smaller cons, Anime-Zing is the con to check out. Average attendance is around 300 to 500 people. Not very big. Small conventions, small hotel area that they hold the convention in. A good homey feel type convention. I know, Darren, you said you're not used to going to cons that small.
Pretty much, because around here they really don't exist. Like, your main cons are at least in the thousands. Like I said, Anime-Zing's lowest attendance numbers that I can remember with me being present was like 10 or 11,000.
And we are excited because we have an amazing guest of honor who has joined us. Please welcome Sean Chiplock.
Thank you guys so much for your patience, first of all. I
no
really
problem.
appreciate that you're willing to adjust. Life is super crazy. It happens in this career all the time. I kid you not. There are weeks where I'm like, okay, on Tuesday and Thursday, I have nothing going on. So I just got to bust my ass on Monday, and then I'll have all day to relax tomorrow. And then by the end of Sunday evening, I'll have 2 bookings on Tuesday and like potentially 2 to 3 on Thursday, which is great. I always appreciate the work. But free time disappears before you know what happened.
Wait, you actually get that far of an advance notice?
It depends. Like for convention stuff, they'll usually sign contracts months in advance. For work stuff, sometimes they'll want to plan for the week ahead. But there have absolutely been times where I've been emailed on Monday asking if I can come in on Wednesday. I've been emailed on Monday morning asking if I can come in on Tuesday morning. I have been texted at 11 a.m. on Wednesday asking if I can come in at 4. So
That's more what I'm used to.
right.
Or
And we,
right
the-
away.
Sean, we have a multitude of comments in the chat with a hi
Yeah.
and welcome.
Oh yeah. Let me see the comments.
We have
Let me go
hello
to the comment
from
section.
Sharka. We have hello from John Knight. And Mario Tanaka says, there he is. Welcome.
And we
Yes,
have
Yes,
Katie.
and here's
all
Here's
his
my cat
feelings
Jax for
were-
being late. This is Panda. He is
Hello,
a
Panda.
short hair tabby that I ferociously legally adopted after a couple ER visits. And he is a total cuddle bug when it gets cold. He was so smushed between our blankets this morning, between myself and my wife. So
And Sean, I wanted to show that I do have the candle.
you have a candle. Hey,
I got it from you at Retro Game Con in Syracuse.
how you
last month.
liking it?
I love it. And I have the fun story of the selling point. The reason that I picked the one I did was based off of what you said to one person who was in front of me.
What did I say to the person who was in front of you that made you buy the candle?
And it wasn't even the people in front of me, their friend who was dressed as an Eevee.
Oh, right. I said, come see what you smell like, right?
Yeah, like Evie, come here and smell yourself. And I'm like, okay, I don't care what that candle smells like. I have to get it.
Well, hey, if I can chill in the 1 minute before it starts, the queen witch of candles herself is actually right outside my stream room. Come on in, come in. Seriously, hurry before we start officially. So you picked perfect timing because at the con I'm going at this weekend, which is Fanboy Expo, I will not be able to bring any candles. But that is because this amazing woman right here is prepping stock for when she opens her online shop later this month. So let me give her the floor for like a minute so she can pitch herself, and then we can get properly started because I got to grab my hydration anyway.
Sounds good.
Talk about what you're good at.
Ow. Self-deprecation?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be also, hi, I'm Sage.
Hello, Sage.
Hi, Sage.
I'm going to be opening my Etsy shop in the middle of this month. Haven't decided what I'm going to be featuring there yet, but we're going to be reopening for the holidays. And once it's gone, it's gone. So on my Etsy, which is at batwix.candle.company, I will be announcing when that restock is going live.
What kinds of shows and games can we expect represented through your amazing candles, Sage?
I am hoping to have some of the My Hero inspired line, hopefully all of the Eevee Evolution inspired line, maybe not all of it. Genshin inspired line, and that's all I know so far.
How
for
often
sure.
have those lines sold out?
100% of the time.
Thank you very much. Mwah. All right.
I love you.
I love you too.
All
All right.
And Sean, I was holding up the card that you had given me so
Yes,
that
yes.
everybody could get all the information as best as they could.
Yes. And for those of you who may not have heard, it is batwix.candle.company on Etsy. Oh, but enough about that. How are you guys? How's your weekend been?
It has been good, busy, crazy, the normal. We celebrated the birthday of our daughter. Today she turned 5.
Oh my God, congratulations.
And her name is Evie, so it's only fitting for the
Wait, is
candle.
it like EVIE or how do you
Yep.
spell it?
Evie.
Hey, first try. Let's go.
From the chat.
You got to teach her to do the cry. You got to have her go,
Every.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well, and thank you for the birthday wishes earlier. Also, so great seeing you all at Retro Game Con, Sean. It was fun having you there.
Retro was incredible. Like, listen, I've been to bigger cons that felt slow. I've been to smaller cons that felt super busy. Like when I went to Crunchyroll Expo, let me tell you guys, if you're anime fans, Crunchyroll knows how to hold an expo. I never left my table during the 4 days that I was there, besides eating and sleeping. But even though I didn't see any of the rest of the con space, I could tell that it was lively in like every aspect. And Retro had that same vibe. Like I was like, okay, you know, it might just be like a bunch of people doing like retro games and pixel stuff and stuff like that. I didn't know what to expect, but the staff were fun. The people were super engaged. Like I had so many incredible conversations. It was a genuinely fun time and a genuinely relaxing time as well. And I really hope that the wife brings back the retro line for her online shop because and were like some of my favorites that she had made for that convention specifically.
And a big welcome to everybody who's tuning in tonight. We are here live with Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Our guest of honor tonight is a very talented voice actor. You can hear him as Diluc in Genshin Impact, of course, Subaru in ReZero, and so many other amazing characters. Please welcome Sean Chiplock to the show.
And hey, Ross, I've also been seeing those ads for Memento Mori. I don't know if you saw the same one of like the girl with the teddy bear who like hugs it and then she starts crying. Those advertisers, man, they know how to get us. I'm not going to download it because I'm already spending money on World Flipper, but I have definitely seen those ads.
But he will get Genshin, like I did.
No, the only reason I didn't download Genshin was because at the time Genshin released, I was already doing Dragalia Lost and World Flipper, and we're not going to talk about how much I spent on Dragalia Lost because it's more than some people make in a year on salary. So when that came out, I was like, I'm not doing a third one. I need to save up for this house. You know, I need to make sure we can afford the mortgage, so I haven't. But I still live vicariously through the community, through the events, so I get everything that I need.
I will say that I was introduced to Genshin thanks to going to PuchiCon back in Pennsylvania, which unfortunately you weren't able to make because of getting sick with COVID. And then we had Josie McCoy on the show.
Yep. And then what were you starting to say, Angela? You started to say something else.
I don't remember.
Right.
I am exhausted. My weekend was spent basically coming back from Europe.
Yep.
So I've been awake since 4 o'clock this morning Eastern time.
I'm surprised I have energy because yesterday I was at Ontario, California for a Rodeo X Genshin event the entire day. Came home, passed out, woke up this morning, went to the cafe event that I was invited to, and that was until about 5 p.m. Hauled ass back here, and now I'm doing this right before I stream. So it's either the coffee or the Red Bull, but something's got to keep me powered through tonight.
I will say, I did notice the Starbucks cup. It is way too early for them to be doing holiday stuff.
Listen. All right, I would agree with you if they hadn't robbed. Go ahead, Darren. What were you going to say?
Darren, I was agreeing with her. When I noticed that, as soon as Halloween had passed, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Exactly.
Listen, are you telling me that if they made a turkey and mashed potatoes latte that you would drink it? Tell me with a straight face that if they made a canned cranberry sauce and sweet potato espresso that you would chug that mofo. I can see the grimace in your face right now.
No,
but I don't go to Starbucks in the first place, so I wouldn't know.
A cranberry juice drink with caffeine, I would.
No. It's got to be the whole thing. It's got to be the cranberry with preserves. It's got to be with the grits, you know, with the breadcrumbs that you dip in the sauce and then eat. It's got to be the whole thing. Cranberry and biscuits latte.
I would take a cranberry and stuffing latte or iced coffee. Sorry, I'm not a Starbucks guy. From Boston, I'm a Dunkies guy.
No, but I would agree with you if they hadn't robbed me of the one drink that I enjoy. Because you guys know the refreshers, right? Like the strawberry refresher, the whatever.
Yeah.
So it used to be strawberry, mixed berry, and orange refresher. And the orange lemonade refresher was my absolute favorite. It was tart. It was bubbly. It was perfect. It was the drink that I was going to get anytime I went to Starbucks because I'm not much of a caffeine drinker. Well, then they finished that line and they brought all of them back as permanent items except for the orange tangerine refresher. So I was denied the one non-caffeine drink from Starbucks that I was interested in. So you know what? When their holiday line has 3 winners in a row between peppermint mocha, caramel brulee, and the white chocolate that I can get with raspberry pumps, I will take it around Thanksgiving because I don't have any other options and there's no Dutch Brothers near me.
And they did away with the gingerbread. Grr.
I know.
The gingerbread was my go.
Everyone wants their McRib. They pick the most popular one and they put it back in the goddamn Disney vault. And then whenever they're short on funds for the quarter, they go, guess what's coming back for a limited time? So.
And comments coming in from the chat.
There's a lot with
John?
There's a lot regarding various voices.
That did a fantastic job voicing Draken in Tokyo Revengers, which I actually have the autograph that we got from you.
Yeah, I really
From
like
my
that
wife.
print a lot. We've got some more options now. We've got a larger 11 by 17, and we've got a metal shiny print that like really glows in the sunlight. So, but hell yeah! If I'm gonna represent the Tokyo Manji gang, I gotta make sure to bring my A game every time.
And I guess like my main introduction to your work was ReZero.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it like to voice a character who dies? I think he died like 3 times in the first episode.
So ReZero was something interesting for me because I had already seen the entire first season by the time that I had booked the role. And in fact, after I booked the role, which they told me on a Friday and that I was going to be recording Monday, I spent that entire weekend plowing through the series again so that I would be completely prepared for each scene. ReZero was interesting because a lot of my roles are cases of I don't know what to expect, but I feel pretty confident about my ability to play this character just based on the audition that I did. ReZero was a case where I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, and they made sure that I knew because this was a case where the casting director even took me aside and said, "You're our first choice. We just want you to be aware of how vocally intense this is going to be and that, get confirmation that you are going to be able to do this consistently and make the time for it without needing too many break days." So I was aware of what I was getting myself into, but I was also ready. I was like, this is my opportunity to show the world, because at this point I was still like a no-name. It would be like, hey, Sean Chiplock is playing this character, and most of the Reddit comments would be like, who the hell is he? Like, he's from Newgrounds, I guess? So this was my chance to show everyone, like, hey, I'm very passionate about this. I've had skin in the game for years. I understand how well received the Japanese dub for this was. I've been to Japan. I've seen the advertisements. I know how big it is. Let me show you. Let me show you what I can bring to the table. And I'm very proud of what I did as Subaru. There are so many scenes I can think of in season 1 that I knew I had to knock it out of the park, and I did. Whether that was the cave scene when he finally mentally loses it and goes on a tirade against Betelgeuse, the scene where he ends up getting possessed by him and it's constantly switching between the 2 different psyches. Because that was not me and Todd Haberkorn changing lines. That was me performing as me, then performing as Todd Haberkorn taking over me, then performing as me fighting back against Todd Haberkorn taking over me. So I know it sounds super complex, but that's why I was so excited, so rejuvenated, was because I knew that I could tackle those challenges head on and give them the love and attention and quality that they deserved, and it paid off. So.
And it was a fantastic role that and like I said, you did a fantastic job on that. That was like my big introduction to Sean Chiplock.
Thank you.
And it opened my eyes, especially when I'm not going to lie, there were 2 reasons I wanted to go to Retro Game Con.
Okay.
You and Christina V.
I was like, one of them's got to be girls. There's girls has to be one of them.
And it was the first time I had been back to Syracuse in 10 years since I left my ex-wife who lives in that area.
There you go.
So
did you get everything you came for? Did you find everything you wanted?
I had a really good time.
Good.
It was also kind of a scouting mission because my wife's an artist, and we were like, would this be a con that she could potentially sell at, which I think she would do good at as well.
Was it worth the price you paid? And the price you've yet to pay.
getting to meet you and seeing your interaction with the fans was worth the price of admission alone, and
Oh,
I mean
thank
that
you so much.
wholeheartedly.
I know. I believe you. I know that when people come to cons, and especially when they spend money to get in, just to spend money on merchandise, like they are making an active choice. They could spend that time and that money anywhere, and they're choosing to be there and more or less choosing to be at my table or in my vicinity. So the least I can do, my one minimal hope is that I can leave them feeling like they spent their time well, because I've heard the horror stories. I've heard the parents or the families come up and say, "This was such a nice interaction. I'm so glad that not everyone is like some of the experiences we've had." I cannot believe some of the attitudes that these people have apparently been subjected to in the past from folks who are literally being paid to show up and have people praise them. It makes no sense to me why people would be ungrateful in those conditions. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have the career that I do. And I'm just glad. I'm glad that people leave my table feeling like their time was well spent.
And that's one of the things that is fun about, doing a show like this where we get to talk with you
Mm.
and the fans get to learn more about Sean Chiplock, the voice actor, not just the voices that you do.
Right.
And going to a convention, getting to see how you interact with fans, and I'm Anime next weekend is going to be my 12th con this year. We're going to have a table there, and they do not have a guest for the convention next weekend. Everybody that they looked into was either pre-booked or had scheduling with conflict scheduling. So I think we're going to be like the most famous people there, which isn't saying much.
And
But
nope, we're gonna go through the chat because chat's
Yeah.
some interesting questions. Ross, display for me, please. I never knew this, but I'm on Behind the Voice Actors site right now. But you were the gym teacher in Tordora.
Yep. I think it's Sugeno was his name in Toradora. And the only reason I remember that is because Sugeno and a couple of other characters were part of what I call the onboarding ramp that I had with Bang Zoom when I first moved out to California in 2012. And this is just my path into the industry. I'm not saying this is how it goes for everyone, but Bang Zoom was kind of my first foot in the professional door because I had already made a connection with them through winning AX Idol back in 2009. And then they had to wait 3 years because I had to finish college in Michigan. But when I moved out, I told them, "Hey, I'm local now. I'm definitely still doing voice acting. I would love to get involved with your studio." And they started me out by having me come to Walla sessions, which are the group sessions, usually not a high amount of pay, but it's filling in voices in the background. And from there, I kind of showed my What was that, Darren?
I didn't say anything.
I think he
Okay.
was coughing.
No worries. So from there, I showed consistency by showing up, being on time, following directions. And then as I developed trust with them, they allowed me to have chances for other stuff. Like, okay, well, we'll bring you in to do some unnamed characters in the background who just happen to be heard over top of everyone else. So like, if there's a bunch of crowd murmuring right before a fight and you can't make out what they're saying, but then you hear one guy clearly go, "Kick his ass!" Like that might be who they bring someone in to do that specifically. So I did several of those types of sessions. And then eventually they were like, okay, here's this named character who only shows up in this one scene, but shows up on screen. So we're going to have you say it. And then I had the chances to eventually move my way up to named recurring characters that weren't important to the story, but helped move things along. And that's where Sugeno falls into it, because I don't think he was really plot important in any way, but since some scenes took part in the gym, there were times when he would need to interact with the cast. So he was one of the earlier roles where I had a name, even if it wasn't a notable one. And then as I continued building my relationship, eventually I started getting auditions for characters that had plot importance. The first of which I booked, which was Diabel in Sword Art Online. So yeah, Sugeno is still important to me because he was part of that relationship building that I did with Bang Zoom that helped me become one of their new talent that they sent auditions to. And eventually, I would say, an established recurring talent that gets auditions from them.
And then next question from the chat. Have you ever met any of the Japanese voice actors? Because you did mention having been there.
Right. I don't think I've met any of the Japanese voice actors. When I was visiting Japan, it was purely for personal reasons. There was a friend who was doing business stocking in Japan because they bring it back over to the States, the stuff that usually doesn't get carried over, and then sells it. And I got to tag along because they enjoy having company. So for me, it was mostly just like the sights, the sounds, the food, the festivals. Holy crap. The food was so damn good. The street food, always good.
Yes, that
and
I
then
will
I-
agree with.
I capped it off with Summer Comic-Cat. The last 3 days that I was in Japan, I did Summer Comic-Cat, which was great and also terrible because on day 1 of Comic-Cat, I had drank too much sake the night before and violently threw up 3 times taking the trains to the convention center and then proceeded to spend $1,500 on books. But that was like the highlight of my trip, easily. But it wasn't there for like any business purpose or any convention or stuff like that. So I didn't get to meet any Japanese actors or Japanese voice actors, even ones that didn't voice characters that I've played. I mean, I would love the opportunity. I don't know if they would know what my performance was like. I think if I had to pick a Japanese voice actor that I'd like to have a chat with, it would probably be whoever voices Baphomet Ardalite in Shadowverse. Because I have seen, apparently, that Baphomet is well loved on both the eastern and the western half of the world for both the English and Japanese dubs. I have seen people on Reddit in English praising the Japanese dub, and I've apparently also been shared screenshots of people in Japan raving about the English dub of Baphomet, who I voice. So I think that would be really cool if I could have like a one-on-one with the person who voices the Japanese version of Baphomet and just be like, did you know about this? Like, did you know that like they often tell each other to like switch between the two because they're both so good? So
that sounds like something Anime Boston needs to do because they're known for bringing in Japanese voice actors and stuff, especially pre-COVID. They would bring in even this year they had Asuka performing at Anime Boston, so that would be fun to be able to bring you and the voice actor in.
That would be a lovely panel to have various characters, like doesn't matter from what show,
yeah,
but have both the English and the Japanese voice actor, and then do a panel as the character.
We kind of had something like that at Anime-Zing. We had Linda Young, the original voice actress for Frieza, and then they also brought in the Japanese voice actor for Frieza, and then at the 1 year, they even brought in the new voice actor for Frieza.
Okay.
So at one point we had all 3 Friezas, both Japanese and English, and the same convention doing a panel.
The Frieza.
Pretty much. And every year that they would bring Linda, they would bring the Japanese voice actor for Frieza.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
I know 2020 for Anime Boston, they were actually going to have the English and the Japanese voice actresses of Megami from Food Wars.
Ooh.
And then the pandemic hit, and Anime Boston was the first con effectively shut down because of the pandemic. So that didn't actually come to fruition. But I remember that because that's my favorite character from Food Wars. And I was like, this is the first time I've really wanted to get a Japanese voice actor's autograph because I had just gotten the DVD in that Christmas for Food Wars. It's like we could get Jade Saxton, and I forget the Japanese voice actor's name.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either.
But, you know, talking about how much fun it would be to be able to like sit down at a panel with you and, you know, even you and the Japanese voice for Subaru or any of the characters you do. I think that would be a lot of fun because you have a lot of you have a lot of energy, especially at conventions from what I can see. And your energy is infectious. You like lighten up a room when you're in there.
I agree with it would be fun to talk to the Japanese voice actor for Subaru because I specifically remember that part of why ReZero's Japanese performance was so notable was because I believe it was both the voice actors for Rem and Subaru were not known in the voice actor celebrity sphere in Japan prior to that show, and their performances were so revered, so well received that it single-handedly propelled them to stardom, which set the bar very, very high when it came time for myself and Brianna to dub it. But I would love to get a chance to talk and be like, hey, so how did that hit you? Like, what was that experience like? What was it like being noticed by people for that performance? How has life been for you since then? I would love to know all of that.
And I laughed because Rem gets so much love from the series.
Who's Rem?
Exactly. How do you piss off an entire fan base with one line? Who is Rem?
Or sorry, I love Amelia.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That line
opinion,
makes me mad because Patricia is right there, and she has always fought on Subaru's side.
In my opinion, Amelia was best girl. But that's just me.
The Japanese voice of Subaru is Yusuke Kobayashi. From the chat. Thank you for that.
Thank you, John. We've got some great fans who tune in every week, and when we get stumped on names, they're right there. That's one thing I can honestly say. We have some of the greatest listeners who tune in every week.
From everywhere.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what got you interested in acting in the first place?
If I had to pick what actually got me interested in the first place, that's hard to pinpoint because I don't know if it was based on me being hyperactive when I was a kid and it like being an outlet for my energy. I don't know if it was because I had people paying attention to me and whether because I was lonely or bullied or something like that I craved it. Definitely the reasons are not as petty as that now, but what has sustained my interest in acting is this idea that it's this chance to portray all of these different character types and all of these different and be a part of all of these different worlds. A role that no one ever talks about that I remember is voicing this character in Aegis of Earth. I think the 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, but it's not the same. Aegis of Earth, which was a tower defense game. And while I didn't play it, I never got around to playing it. I should watch gameplay videos. The concept was so cool to me. It was, hey, here's a bunch of these teenage kids having to work as engineers, as operators, coordinating over systems and communication devices and setting up remote outposts to fend off waves of incoming enemies. And it's like, what chance would I have in the real world to do something like that? To have access to like sci-fi weaponry and EMPs and, wave pulse weapons and stuff like that. And to get to play it as, some hothead who thinks he's, really cool. He's like, don't worry, guys, I got this. It's just fun. It's fun to get to be things that we aren't normally. It's fun to get to examine these characters and see what makes them tick, what makes them alive, and help bring them to life. And that carries me through a lot of what I do. Diluc in Genshin tends to be a lot more mild-mannered and a lot more tolerant of people who annoy him than I can be. But I like getting to portray this, much more self-confident, perhaps more observant version of myself, and just focus on the adventures of others. Because my life is already pretty adventurous. There's a lot of stuff that I do that a lot of people don't have the chance to do. So it's fun to be like, well, what if I take the passive side? What if I play a character who is merely guiding someone who is in the midst of their own journey and wishing them well, while also hoping they don't get themselves into too much trouble? And I just think that's cool. It's fun.
Now, when you got auditioned and was cast as Diluc for Genshin, did you have any idea that the game would get as big as it's gotten?
I was worried at first because very, very early on, I had seen some of the concept art, like some of the in-process videos and background cutscenes. And I remember one of the thoughts in my head was, this looks an awful lot like Breath of the Wild. Am I going to get in trouble if I'm on this? Like, this felt like a problem that was unique to me. Like, if with Breath of the Wild just came out like a year or two ago, is this going to cause problems if I'm in that and also in this? I ultimately decided, like, it wasn't my business because like I'm just here to do a voice. You know, I'm not developing the backgrounds. I'm not developing the scenery. I can't get in trouble for something other people created. You know, so it's similar to Danganronpa. You know, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to do the work. But I definitely did not have any expectation that it would be as explosively popular as it is. I should have seen the precedent knowing that it was going to be a gacha game essentially, because gacha games, people complain about them all the time, but they continue to make money hand over fist. I think about how often folks lambasted Diablo Immortal, and in the first month that Diablo Immortal released, despite all the complaints, it made more in total sales than every other Diablo entry did combined. Think about that. A mobile game that people loudly hated online in less than a year made more money for the company than every other entry in that franchise combined. So gacha games they're the money makers, man. They've got the audience, they've got the popularity.
They've got Gigig.
Yes.
They've got Gigig.
Oh God.
I joke because I've only played about an hour and a half of the game. So I have an idea of the game, the gameplay, a lot of the characters. And when I first said I started playing the game, Angela kind of rolled her eyes at me. Was like, oh God, here we go. You got sucked into a gacha game. But I'm one of those people, I don't buy add-ons for games. I'll buy like the initial
Really?
game.
Not even like the welcome pack that's like one time super cheap?
I do not.
What are those? Because
Like,
the only games I've ever bought have been like regular games, no expandable content, no nothing.
Animal Crossing has a downloadable content or expandable content that you can buy. I haven't bought that, and I have over 600 hours into that game.
Oh God, I could go on a very lengthy rant about this. I've spent way too many years tangentially associated with the gaming industry.
Rant away, girl. You got the floor.
Gacha games as a whole, as a concept, annoy the shit out of me because why should I have to perpetually keep putting in money to get all the stuff I need for a game I want to play when games are expensive to begin with? But I will say what's the term being thrown around now is freemium.
Oh yeah.
At least they
free
make
to start, expensive to master.
Well, to accomplish and to feel like you've accomplished something, you don't have to put in money. You just got to deal with intermittent ads or understand that someone's going to have better stuff than you at a lower level because they're willing to spend money.
That makes sense.
But we also live in a day and age where people like to gamble, and that's where the gacha comes in of you have a chance of winning this amazing outfit for this 5-star character. You might get it on your first roll, or you might get it on your 5,000th roll.
Right. Or the gold, or the 5-star the 5-star game-breaking ultimate weapon.
I'm grateful for gacha games that eventually let you spark the units, because before Dragalia Lost added it, one very expensive Christmas, there was a limited dragon, like it wasn't going to be in the banner after that seasonal banner, and it took me $800 of pulls before I got a single copy of that dragon. Normally was not that bad. Most banners I was done within, I would say at worst 100 to 150 if I was having bad luck. It just would not happen with that damn dragon. So I'm I mean, it's sad that Dragalia is going away, but I'm also very glad that they added sparking at one point.
But that's the industry with the gacha games, is that they know that people are out there and they will put something out that piques your interest. If you want it bad enough, you will go until you can get it, and it's up to the player for the responsibility of okay, I need to cut it off now. Know when to say when is too much.
Right.
And it's in hindsight, the franchise, in their eyes, we're making money. It's not our fault if you're going broke, but because it should be on the player's player's responsibility to know that, okay, I can't afford this, so I shouldn't do this. But
then we
But-
get into it goes back to gambling
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I'll be honest, I love you, Genshin community, but the sheer number of 14 to 19-year-old kids who talk about rolling their wallets away for the next 5-star character coming out in a week, it gravely concerns me. Because I have disposable income, all right? I have an established career. I do freelance stuff on the side. I have money that I am able to burn without and stay financially solvent. I have a savings built up. We're talking people that are barely out of high school, if even out of high school, spending hundreds of dollars a week chasing these characters when they don't even know what college debt is like yet. It's terrifying.
yep.
I wouldn't know.
I graduated college without student loans
Same,
at
but
the expense of my sanity.
yep, I was doing freelance work all 4 years. I was building my portfolio, so I feel you.
I spent my last 5 semesters, I was living at home, commuting to school, and working what might as well be full time.
Wait, what's full time? Because
I said what might as well be.
I'm just saying, because full time for me is like half of that, half of what I normally do.
I was going to school full time. I was going to school full time while living with my parents and baby sister and working 35 to 40 hours a week.
I tried the whole going to school thing, and I just couldn't.
That is fair.
I got halfway through my community college, and I was just like, screw it, I'd rather work.
But you're working, you're making money, and you are happy with that decision. That's really all that matters.
And you have your own company, so
Yep.
Makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, okay, but having your own company, as much as it can be fun, it can also be extremely stressful. Like, for example, while we've been in the middle of this interview thing going on, I've had a panicked foreign client saying, hey, there's a client that wants to know if you can do this 3-minute video and they need it tonight, where it is currently 6:35 p.m. And by the time I'm done with this and done with streaming, it's going to probably be 10:30, 11 o'clock, which means after I'm done with all of that and after I'm done talking for 4 to 5 hours, I would need to hop into my booth at 11:30 at night doing this job for a foreign client because that's what pays the bills. So having your own business is good, especially when it means you get to set your own hours, which in this current society is a freaking luxury, but it comes with a lot of conditions and a lot of demands and a lot of requirements. And if your heart's not in it, you're going to kill yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're going to kill yourself.
and especially it's a good point bringing up, especially in the world that we live in today. 3 years ago, you were going to bag Zoom. You were able to get out to the studios. The pandemic hit. Did you have a home studio pre-pandemic, or were you one of the ones who had to build one?
I did, but it definitely was not as updated or modernized as it was after the pandemic hit. Because the standard was everyone, because remote recording was not a thing. Like it was the exception, the rare exception to the norm prior to the pandemic. So it was completely acceptable for people to be recording home auditions on cheaper microphones, maybe even USB mics, because the understanding was if you booked the job, you were going to be coming into the studio to record and they were going to have their own equipment. In fact, there was some weird discussions at some point in time about how a shittier mic might actually, sorry, I don't know what the age rating is on this. If a worse mic might actually be better for you because of human psychology where they think they hear the voice they want and there's a quality control issue, but they're like, I'm sure it'll be fine once we get them in the studio, let's book them. Versus if you record it on a clean mic and they didn't hear what they wanted, then they just know that it's not there. But ever since the pandemic, when remote recording became a necessity because projects were still going on, that is when clients were like, okay, we will record remotely, but we need you to have this kind of equipment. And everyone started to need to upgrade their studios, to get XLR microphones. I'm sure it was incredibly difficult to get like one of those Studio Bricks vocal booths during that time because they were so backlogged on materials and orders already. So that around the same time, that's what I did. Now I had the disposable income at that point, which I'm super grateful for. But I spent close to like $3,500, $5,000 completely modifying what used to be a bedroom into a recording space, wall to wall, across the ceiling, acoustic foam for sound absorption. Updated my microphone, updated my preamp that it runs through. Even now, I've been using a Stellar X2, which is based off the U87. But as of 2 days ago, I actually ordered a Shure mic, SHURE, which very well might replace the mic that I'm using because it's better quality, but also had a massive discount recently. So remote recording is a legit part of the industry now, but it's also a more expensive one for anyone wanting to get into voiceover to pitch into, because engineers and especially clients are now a lot pickier about the recording quality coming from your home studio. And so if you want to do it as a hobby, you can probably still get by with a USB mic. But if you want to be taken any bit seriously when it comes to professional projects, the bar's higher. The minimum mic is probably like $250, $300 if we're talking XLR that they'll accept. And even then, a lot of clients are like, well, we'll consider it, but we would really prefer if you had a Neumann or a TLM 103, the industry standard. So
I think that's good information for any of our listeners out there who may want to get into the world of voice acting. The home recording and stuff changed how the industry went. It
Yep.
changed how the industry produces everything.
Yep.
As voice actors, I know, talking with a lot of the Funimation staff, or now Crunchyroll, a lot of them, had to learn how to edit their own stuff during recording sessions and things. Engineers were double, triple booked trying to help multiple people at a time via Zoom calls and things of that nature. And really, hats off to you and everybody associated with getting these projects put together, because there was so much stress on you guys to figure out, okay, we have an issue, we need to figure out how to overcome this, because everything we know we can't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, I thank you for the work that you've put in to continue to grow your career, and for the fans to be able to continue to enjoy the work that you do.
Mm-hmm. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for all of it. Voiceover is also known as permanent temporary unemployment. And it's true. Even as a working voice actor, I have an open unemployment case with California. It's legal. I'm not doing a loophole abuse in the system. But because I am never actually employed by any of the companies that I do work for, I am a contractor, which means when the job is done, I'm out of a job, So it's not glamorous, the number of people that are able, even the fact that I can do this full time. I'm not saying this in like a bragging way, but I've seen the research, and apparently it's like, I think what we learned at Get Your Game On LA was that something like 27% of all voice actors make more than $27K a year or something. It was either 17 or 27K a year, basically saying that the mass majority make less than what we would consider to be a reasonable amount to make to live comfortably. And especially if you're living in Los Angeles, 27K a year is not enough. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not enough to comfortably live out there unless you are in like a dangerous part of the city or in a terrible quality home that has, either an infestation or mold growth or something. It's just not possible to afford something of decent living quality at that salary level. So I consider myself extremely lucky to be able to do this full time and make a living off of it above that estimated salary range. I'm trying to remember what my train of thought was about this, but it can be difficult. It takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of passion, and it has to be something that you genuinely want, regardless of all the hurdles, because regardless of all the cool roles I've done, everything is on a ticking watch, because right now conventions, I have a really big convention pool thanks to voicing Diluc and Rivali, but they're not going to be the big thing forever. Diluc's eventually not going to be part of the meta. There's going to be someone who's better, or people are just going to be like, yeah, I mean, we already got our stuff. He's been around for years. So unless I'm somehow able to keep booking roles that are notable enough for conventions to care, that's going to run out eventually, and I can't think of any cases where a client specifically booked me because I played this other role. And they're like, we want you to do exactly what you did for this character, but for us. So every job is a brand new interview. Every audition, I have to prove myself again to either the same people or a completely different set of people and go, please believe that I am the best choice for you for this job, for this character. I need to pay rent. I will do what you need me to do. I beg of you. But then also, you can't think about the money, because if you're thinking about the money, then you're not thinking about the craft, about the creativity, about the art of the performance, and then it's just going to sound phoned in. So these are all things constantly cycling through my brain day in, day out, because I don't have a concrete guaranteed 40 hours a week like people with what we would call a typical job do. And also, if I don't make enough off of these jobs that I'm never entitled to, I don't qualify for health insurance. It's not provided through my employer. I have to earn it through my union. So that's another thing that people have to think about. There's a lot. There's a lot that goes on.
That actually gets into a question from the chat that I'm going to paraphrase from Ross. That you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's rumors of voice actors that don't get paid a lot, and that makes absolutely zero sense.
All right. So this is a very complex topic, and it's one that a lot of people don't understand, and it's one that a lot of people get the wrong idea about. So the problem is not with the base. To me, the problem is not with the base rate. Because what I'm assuming this is tied to the stuff that happened recently with Bayonetta 3 and all that jazz. And when the math was done, it was found out that what that actress was being offered for her recording sessions was at or above the industry standard for what we would be offered for those. For those of you who don't know, anime in Los Angeles is currently, or most live action dubbing or dubbing in general, is done at 120 for non-union. Sorry, union has specific contract rates. I should start with union. Union video games are a 4-hour contract rate at $975.76. Or it's like $956.75. I think it's $975.56, something like that. Just under $1,000. And that is regardless of whether you work 4 hours or 40 minutes. You get paid that 4-hour rate. In tandem with that, non-union video games recently bumped up from $200 an hour to $250 an hour. There is no 4-hour rate. Most studios honor a 2-hour minimum, but it's not required. But that is to keep in tandem. So if you work a non-union gig for 4 hours, you get paid $1,000. It's slightly higher than union, mostly because the extra $50 is supposed to cover for, all the things that you won't get, such as healthcare and stuff like that, which it's not enough, but whatever. Live action dubbing and anime bumped up from $75 an hour to $125 an hour. And again, that's to better reflect the recording rates that the union had, which I think is like $93.80 something cents. And then plus the additional that is given, it equals out to about $125 per hour. So the base rate is not the problem, although we can argue about that because this is when you actually book a job that dozens, if not hundreds of other people have also been trying out for. And that is not a continuous job because, for example, my recordings for Persona 5 were no longer, I think I had 3 sessions total of about 3 hours each. So 9 hours at $200 an hour back then. So less than $2,000 for my role in Persona 5. Here's where the problem hits, is in how much these games go on to make billions, literal billions of dollars. For those of you who don't know, I believe in 2020 alone, the video game industry was worth more than television, film, and radio combined. All 3 of those combined made less than video games did in that year. So these games are getting exponentially bigger, exponentially higher quality. They've got bigger teams. They've got bigger audiences. They're making money hand over fist. But the pay rate has always been treated as a buyout. And it wasn't changed very much with the strike that happened in 2016. There was some add-ons regarding like extra session payments and like bonus payments based on how many units are sold. But the big problem at the very core of all of this is that unlike film, unlike commercials, video games and anime have no precedent for residuals or licensing. In TV film, you get what's called syndication, and you get what are called residuals, which is any time that media is displayed or paid for, whether that's on demand, whether that's physical DVD, whether that's theatrical release, whether that's on, ABC at 7 p.m. on Friday nights. The actors get a cut of those earnings via what are called residuals. I get residuals for stuff like Detective Pikachu, the film. I recorded for that, 4 or 5 years ago? I still get a check for about $70 to $140 every couple of months just off of residuals, even though I haven't done any additional work. Radio commercials, television commercials get what are called licensing fees, which is you are being paid anytime that they use that commercial, that audio, for a certain period of time. So if they're going to use it for 3 months, you get paid a certain amount. If they're going to use it for 6 months, you get paid a certain amount. If they are going to use it in a certain region, you get paid a certain amount. So if they only use it in the state of Michigan versus if they use it in the entire Midwest versus if they use it in the entire United States or globally, that will change how much you get paid each time that they renew the contract. None of this exists for anime and video games. If I work 8 hours of a video game, I get paid $2,000 and that's it. That's all I get. I don't get anything else except if the game happens to sell well enough and I get like a flat amount. Like if the game sells enough to make $5 million, then I might get a bonus payment of $800. So the problem with that is these companies are making more and more money than ever before, but the actors, which are increasingly having higher demands being placed on them, many of us have to do motion capture now. Many of us still have to do more vocally intense roles, are not receiving any kind of compensation that matches this. I honestly believe that if video games and anime just had residuals as part of the contract, the way that practically every other major media form in the industry does, the pay problem would be solved. And I'm not saying that I'm regretting that I recorded for projects like Breath of the Wild or that I'm regretting that I was a part of Persona 5. I'm not. I'm super blessed to be a part of those. But it's the fact that Persona 5 has had all of these spinoffs, has had all of this media marketing, has had all these additional opportunities. The fact that Breath of the Wild continues to be this big driving force 5 years later, enough to get a dedicated spinoff and a sequel at the same time. And the actors that helped create that world don't see any of it, while the profits are going to the CEOs. And I mean this the same way for the developers, for the asset creators working on backgrounds, because there isn't a union for that either. They're not seeing any of these profits either. So I think that is what the message that most actors are trying to get out there is, what we really want is for the pay rates of video games and anime to be more in line with how they are for TV and commercial. I'll be honest, the reason why you don't see a lot of celebrities doing video games, why you often get voice matches for their characters, is because they're not interested in doing video games. There's no money in it. They don't get paid nearly as much to reprise the role for a video game than they do to do a cameo as a character. If they do Frank West or I'm trying to think of a character in Westworld, if he shows up on an episode of Doctor Who, guess what? That actor still gets residuals anytime that episode of Doctor Who airs. But if he plays his character in a video game where he makes a cameo, he just gets paid for that session, and that's it. So that's the crux of it, is that residuals don't exist. The strike didn't succeed in getting them added. And so as the video game industry continues to be more popular and more profitable, many of the people that help make that possible, the asset creators, the musicians, the voice actors, don't get to see any of that additional earning, any of that additional profit, and that should change.
I agree with that.
Agreed. And chat there, this has turned into a lovely wall of chat.
And I thank you, Sean, for explaining that, because I know it's a question a lot of people have on their minds, seeing the news stories and how the news phrases everything, but not really going into detail to explain what your world is like. A lot of fans know he does voice acting work. We know him as Diluc, but they don't understand what is entitled as being Diluc. A lot of average fans think you just go into a booth, talk, say a few things, and boom, you make a ton of money, which is not true. And a lot of people don't realize you don't have the residual income.
And nor do people take into account just the cost of living and
For
living
those of
in
you
a,
who don't know, I want to
Yeah,
see.
just-
I want to see chat. I want to see chat answer this for me, okay? Because we'll quickly see who lives on the West Coast versus who lives on the eastern half of the United States, as long as it's outside of New York. Chat, what do you think my monthly mortgage is for this first ever house that my wife and I have? It's not a fancy house. It's not. It's only one story or one floor. We don't have much of a front yard. But how much do you think my monthly mortgage is?
Principal and interest or escrow included?
I would say principal and interest.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go out on a limb and say probably less than what I pay in rent.
What do you pay in rent?
But I also live in Boston proper.
Not
so
the
there's
price
that.
of the house. Not the price of the house, Ross. The monthly mortgage. What I spend each month in payments towards the house.
Do you have PMI?
What is PMI again?
If you can't afford 20%, you got to pay a certain amount until you refinance.
I think we did the 20%. I think
Okay.
we set that down.
Okay, yeah, that I did 20% on mine.
So Angelo, you said yours was less than what you pay. So what do you currently pay?
The rent for the house that we rent now, mind you, it's split, but we pay over $2,500 a month in rent.
Okay, so you think it's somewhere less than 2,500, right?
I say this.
Okay, we're not renting to renting to own. We're not renting to we own
Yeah.
the house. We bought the house, so we are just paying it off. Who's up here? What's your name again?
Doug.
Doug, what's your guess?
I am gonna guess that you. Let's see. I would probably guess that you are probably around 2,500.
2,500. Okay, Darren, what's your guess? Best guess.
I was gonna go around 1,800 a month.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to think strictly principal and interest, but I'm also trying to take into now. How many square feet is your house?
The house is just over 1,400 square feet.
Okay, so yours is slightly bigger than mine because I'm at 1,300, but
all right.
I got
you ready? You ready?
I got 2/3 of an acre.
Our monthly mortgage is $3,494.84 a month.
And you put down 20%.
And I put down 20%. That was how we locked in a 3.57% interest rate.
I have a 3%.
Very nice.
15 or 30?
30. $3,500 a month just to keep our house that we have to spend.
So I'm guessing your purchase price was around 375, 425,000.
You're saying the amount that I had to put down?
No. The grand total of the house.
Wait. No.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was
our house
probably
was 750,000.
I was gonna say 750.
That's outrageous.
Yes.
Do you know how much 750,000 would get me in even Texas if I were to spend that? I could pay for a house. I could pay for a 2, possibly a 3-floor home in Michigan with 750,000 and just be done. It probably would even cost 500.
Here you'd get at least just about a 24 to 3,000 square foot house.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Being in the city.
So that's kind of now this is unique to Los Angeles. This is unique to the West Coast, but it kind of plays into what I'm saying, where a lot of companies are demanding or heavily preferring that we come record in person. That is why so many people move to Los Angeles, is because all the major hubs are there. Disney, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Adult Swim, the anime companies, the commercial companies outside of New York. I know that Funimation and other people are in Texas, but like when you are thinking of the most opportunities, most of them, the large majority, of them are in Los Angeles, and they want people to be local because they want them recording on their equipment, which means to some degree, we have to live there in order to get the work. But then we move there and we have to eat those prices, the living costs, and we're not making nearly enough to afford it unless we either take a second or third job or we happen to be the next Steve Bloom, the next Johnny Young Bosch, the next Troy Baker, who can run roughshod through the industry and keep booking roles left and right because we're, the invoice, or we know exactly what we're doing, or we're the top of our craft. It is relentless. It is super competitive, and we're a great community, but it's still a very competitive community. And it could be resolved so easily if these companies making so much money would just add residuals to their contracts. But they weren't forced to. They have no obligation to, and it would cut into their profits. So why bother? And that's where we are.
And that's also why, and we make a point on the show to showcase multiple sides and of, all aspects of the anime and pop culture genre. We hear all the time fans ask, why do people charge for autographs at conventions? Because you don't have residuals, because you don't make a ton. And that is a way to subjugate and add additional income so that you can afford to pay your bills.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mentioned this on a tweet the other day, but by having most of our residual income come from stuff like convention appearances where we are selling merchandise or selling our autographs to fans, how is that any different from the tipping culture where employers push the cost of business onto the customer by asking them to tip the waitresses and waiters so that the employers don't have to pay them the federal minimum wage? How is it any different? Because instead of getting that extra money from the companies, the cost is getting pushed onto you guys because we are selling our autographs to you and you're paying us. You are paying us the money that we wouldn't need if we were getting residuals from the games that these companies are publishing. So, food for thought. It's affecting you guys as much as it's affecting us. Because I'm willing to bet if there were actors that were making more money off of the projects that they're working on, maybe they wouldn't feel as hard pressed to try and charge certain amounts at conventions because they don't need the money that badly because they have more financial stability.
And Ross is saying, again, thank you for the explanation or explaining this. Hope I didn't hit a nerve with that question.
You're fine. You are fine. But I think we have time for maybe one more question before I got to pop out because I do have my stream starting at around 7 o'clock. But I know that I've rambled on, so I want to give you guys a chance.
Before we do that,
I was going to say, given what time it is and given that I'm surprised Darren's still alive.
Hi.
And I'm kind of going on exhaustion. And it is almost that time. I'm tempted to say, let's just jump to the same shameless plug section of this.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say.
I think that's where Doug was headed.
Yeah. We want to give you a chance to promote yourself, any social media, anywhere people can find you, conventions coming up. Again, check out the Batwix Candle Company on Etsy.
Please, if there is one thing that I would want you guys to absolutely check out, it is to go check out my wife's online store at Batwix Candle Company on Etsy. It's not open yet, but she will be opening later this month. She is in the middle of producing candle stock. For myself, you can follow me on Twitter or on Twitch at Sonic Mega, SONICMEGA. I am about to be streaming AI, the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative immediately after I hop off of here. Twitter, while it's still alive, is the best place to see upcoming convention appearances, new role announcements that I can make. And if you guys would like to see me at a local event near you, please reach out to your convention staff, contact their email, let them know that you would like them to bring me to the event. It is you guys, the audience. Excuse me, air burps from drinking water or drinking coffee. It is you guys who provide the incentive because conventions want to bring guests that are going to convince people to buy tickets to attend. So it is not something that I can do in reaching out to them saying they should bring me. It is something that I have to be invited to because there is enough demand from you, the people. So I have told people I will go in country. I'll go out of country. I will fly across the ocean to Europe or Germany if you guys want me there. But you got to talk to the con staff and tell them that you want to see me there. So I believe that is everything.
Awesome. We want to thank you so much for your time and coming on, hanging out with us. This was very, very informative. I know that our viewers here are thanking you again for all the information and everything. I hope you have a wonderful stream. And again, where can people find the stream you're about to do?
Twitch.tv/Sonic Mega. As soon as I leave here, I'm gonna basically make my announcement on my socials and then fire it up, and we're gonna go listen to people discuss murder mysteries for 3 hours.
I thank you so much. It was an honor to get to meet you at Retro Game Con. I hope we get to see you at cons coming up in 2023. I know I've got quite a few I'm looking at attending.
I have stuff planned out at least up through July of next year, but I just don't know which ones I'm allowed to talk about yet. So definitely keep tabs on my Twitter. That is the best way, because that is where all my Twitter announcements go up, and I consistently have, if I don't have a con coming up, then I have my personal info and like my demo reel pinned to my profile. But if I have a con coming up within like 2 weeks, it is always the pinned tweet on my profile so that you guys know where I'm going to be next.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We would love to have you back on in the future. Anytime you have stuff coming on you want to talk about, or if you want to come and hang out, we would love to have you back on as a guest, even a guest co-host if you wanted to come on and bug other people.
Maybe if I can find the time, and that's nothing against you guys. I'm just a very, very busy individual.
Oh, I totally understand that. That's why when you reached out about moving the time back, we were totally fine with that.
It means so much to me. It worked out great. I was able to have a nice lunch date with my wife at the event. We got to help them out because they were a little understaffed. It worked out great for everybody. So thank you very much.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the career you've had thus far, and we really look forward to seeing more of your amazing work in the future.
Thank you. All right. Take care, you guys. Goodbye.
Until next week, everybody, when we welcome Kelly Baskin, another Genshin Impact voice actor. You know her as the voice of Amber. Will be joining us here. Also, you can find me at Anime-Zing. We will have a table Friday, Saturday, and half the day Sunday. So if you're able to come up to South Portland, Maine, come on, say hi. We would love to see you in person. And again, until next week, I hope everybody has a fun and safe week out there. Keep watching anime. Stay nerdy as always, and we will see you again here for more Anime-Zing Radio next Sunday, right here on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Good God. Have a good night, all.
Good night.